Hello everyone, well here we go, we're into October, which means we can start bringing you a few Christmas 2022 sneak peeks, and that's what we're doing for this video. This is the first Christmas 2022 sneaky peeky from GWV. So you're going to be looking at the long range CFS V2 mod at metrociela.fr, and we're going to go through chart data, for the Christmas period, and going to be interesting, going to be fun. The Christmas Countdown proper gets underway on the first day of November. But in October, we like to do a few sneaky peekies just to whet the appetite and set the scene, if you like. We won't be taking this overly seriously. It is just for fun. It's just for laughs. We're so far away from Christmas that we cannot say, what the weather will be doing over Christmas, but it's interesting. It could be interesting to have a look at these charts and see what the CFS is doing. And I'll get on with that for you in a second. I want to say thank you so much to Richard for the GWV sneaky pinky gift. Who is that? I don't know. Who is that? I don't know. But he looks a bit stern, doesn't he? He's certainly having a sneaky pinky, I think. So yeah, I don't know. He looks a bit serious. I don't think he thinks very much to me. But he's having a good sneaky peek, and I don't blame him. So please like, share, subscribe on the video, and subscribe to the channel. You will be able to see future weather content, including future Christmas updates and whatnot. And thank you so very much, everyone, for doing that. I'm so sorry, everyone. Right, okay then. Thank you, Rich, for the gift. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Okay! Let's get ourselves over to metrociela.fr. And this is it then. So we're about to do the first sneaky peeky for Christmas. And we're going to begin on the 20th. Be professional, Gav. Be professional. Do your job. We're going to begin on the 20th of December here. We're going to go for all four, by the way. It's the best ones. It's run 4 times a day: midnight, 6 a.m., midday, and 6 p.m. in the evening. So you're going to go through all the 4 CFS runs with this, starting all of them on the 20th of December, except one. More about that later on. And we're going to run through to the Christmas to early January, New Year type period. Where we do Christmas Countdown proper, which will be from the 1st of November, we will then, of course, be just using one CFS run for each update, usually the 12s then. And we will start it like at the beginning of December and run to around the middle of January and whatnot. So it starts getting a lot more serious when we get into into November. But at the moment, we're just having fun. Right, okay, so this is the CFS Midnight Run on the 20th of December. We're not unsettled here. Low pressure to the north of Struck. We're bringing in a showery and quite cold type westerly wind. That low pressure dives into the North Sea. So a little bit colder there by 22nd of December. Could bring some wintry showers into the north. A little bit of a ridge bow settling things down. For the next area, low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. That's going to bring us a bit of a pre-Christmas battering. 950 millibars. Severe gale sweeping in from off the Atlantic, and heavy outbreaks of rain too. So this looks like a very Atlantic-driven run up to Christmas. That's Christmas Eve. Low pressure to the north of Scotland, bringing a showery westerly wind, probably cold enough, a little wintriness in the showers over the Scottish mountains. Otherwise, just rain showers really with those westerly winds. That's Christmas Day, which looks a little bit quieter. The isobars are opening out, so we get rid of those gale force winds anyway. Probably a bit on the chilly side, about average temperatures, I would have thought. Maybe a few wintry showers in the north and northeast Scotland. Otherwise, a main dry Christmas Day there, I think. And a little bit cooler as well. Could be even colder for a touch of frost early and late and whatnot. Boxing Day sees high pressure reaching in from off the Atlantic. So that's a quiet Boxing Day. Probably quite cold by then as well. Maybe some frost and fog. Although starting to turn wetter and windier in the far north and northwest of Scotland then. So, quite a coolish sort of Christmas Day and Boxing Day. and relatively dry. More unsettled on Christmas Eve, though. Now, beyond that, we start to see the high pressure breaking very quickly as we go to 27th December. Low pressure back in from off the Atlantic. That returns us to more wet and windy weather as we begin to run up towards the new year. And to continue to look very Atlantic driven there. As we carry on up to New Year's Eve, wet and windy on New Year's Eve, relatively mild too. That's New Year's Day, first day of 2023. That one also looking wet, windy, and Atlantic driven. Now, just beyond that, though, high pressure starting to get going over Scandinavia. So, although you have a relatively mild sort of Christmas to New Year period, into early January, heights are rising. Over Scandinavia. You will gather we're not taking this overly seriously, everybody. We're just having a laugh with this. We're not taking it overly seriously. But we have a bit of fun. Well, anyway, but look at this. This is interesting, though, isn't it? Dum, dum, dum. High pressure properly sets up over Scandinavia. And this is pulling in a colder sort of southeast wind. Will this unleash the beast? Let's see what happens. Wow, look at that. Beast from the east unleashed there. As we go into early January. So that's the 8th of January. Proper easterly blast going on there, but delivering snow from the east. If you want snow across lowland southern England, that's the kind of thing you're looking for. Nice Scandinavian high and a nice easterly there. And looks bitterly cold actually, that plenty of snow coming in from the east. And we're running up towards the middle of January now, and I won't go any further than that. We're maintaining cold weather really across most parts of the country. So up to mid-January, cold conditions are maintained. Low pressure trying to get in from the Atlantic, probably bring some snow into the west. We shall not go any further than that. So that gets very cold just after the New Year. But between Christmas and New Year, it's generally mild and Atlantic driven, although Christmas Day could be mostly dry and a little bit cooler. Right, that's that one done there. That's that one done, everyone. Let's go on to the GFS6Z with high pressure over France on 20th of December. Low pressure way to our north and to our northwest as well. We're drawing up very mild southwesterly winds here on the 22nd of December. So that's a very mild run up to Christmas. That would deliver double-digit temperatures, I would have thought, especially mild in the south. Now, that's Christmas Eve. So at that point, we're trying to bring a trough in from off the Atlantic, I think, but it is struggling. So it's mainly dry on Christmas Eve, probably a little bit cooler, but still generally relatively mild, actually. That's Christmas Day. Low pressure then heads in from off the Atlantic. That's a relatively weak low, but will bring some wet weather to the north. Probably not that much rain down in the south. It will continue to be relatively mild, although it is trying to get high pressure going over Scandinavia, you'll notice, but I think that's relatively mild and damp for Christmas Day. That's Boxing Day, deepening area of low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. That brings wet and windy weather in for Boxing Day, not particularly cold either. And beyond that, what's going to happen? Well, the low pressure there is going on northwest-southeast trajectory because of this area of high pressure over Scandinavia blocking its progress. So that's something that might do a little bit of snow to the north, actually, around the 27th, 28th December on the backside of that low. We're having a go at getting wind into the east here with the GFS6. In fact, we do get wind into the east between Christmas and New Year. This would be 28th, 29th December. This low dies southwards. And that does pull wind into the east. It's not a traditional Scandinavian high, but it's enough to deflect, I should say, of that low pressure down to Biscay and get wind into a cold easterly. That will deliver snow there after Christmas in the New Year. So relatively mild for Christmas, but between Christmas Day, but between Christmas and New Year, actually quite cold and maybe colder for a little bit of snow in the south. Now we're up to New Year. High pressure's ridging in from off the Atlantic with low pressure away to our north and west. So that's still cold for New Year's Eve in the south, but we'll be turning milder, wetter and windier up in the north. What happens as we get into the new year? Wet and windy and milder. So by the time we get through the New Year's Day 2023, we're looking pretty wet and windy there with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. And that looks like it's setting up, you know, quite a unsettled first week or so. But January, plenty of wind and rain with those areas of low pressure piling in from off the Atlantic. So that one turns wet and windy into January. It's been enjoying this Sneaky Peeky #1 for Christmas 2022. And please do you like, share and subscribe. And we thank you so very much for doing that. Right, 20th of December again with the GFS 12Z. Low pressure is over the top of the cone. It looks like quite a cold core area of low pressure though, so probably showers on the Wells rate and maybe some snow wrapped around that area of low pressure, I would have thought. Now, what's going to happen as we go beyond that? Well, we get into the 21st, so that low pressure pulls away. So, 21st, 22nd of December, quite cold with this little ridge of high pressure, maybe a few wintry showers down the eastern coast, turning dry but with overnight frost. Even Christmas Eve, 23rd of December, beginning to go wet and windy again as low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Let's get to Christmas then. So this is Christmas Eve. Low pressure driving in from the Atlantic. Looks showery for Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, another low coming in from the Atlantic. That's bringing more wet and windy weather in with it on Christmas Day. And that's Boxing Day, looking quite stormy for Boxing Day, especially so up in the north. So mild, wet and windy really on this CFS 12Z run. Mild, wet and windy on Christmas Day, and also particularly so on Boxing Day, which could actually be quite stormy. Beyond Christmas to New Year, more low pressure bringing further wet and windy weather in from off the Atlantic. Also drawing up very mild southwesterly winds here. So this is a really mild Atlantic-driven run from the CFS 12Z. And it just carries on, the low pressure carry on coming into early January as well. Proper old Atlantic onslaught there. Plenty of mild, wet and windy weather into the new year. And whatnot. Sorry, everyone. Trying to have a little bit of a cooler snap there by the middle of January, but we won't go any further than that. And then finally, for this Christmas 2022 sneak peek #1, we're going to have a look at the CFS 18Z, aka the pub run. This is a pub run for the CFS. Will it have been on the sherry? We're going to start this on the 1st of December as we have reached the climax. I don't know, of our Christmas update #1, or Christmas sneak peeky #1. High pressure is in over top of the country on the first day of December there. Now we pull that high pressure out to west as we get into the 4th of December. We bring down a cooler northerly wind, turns colder by the 6th, winds in from the north and from the northeast with high pressure way to our west. But that high pressure is not done. Look at this, by the 7th of December, they begin to scoot up towards Greenland. And this looks like it's going to set up a big old northerly plunge. And that's exactly what happens. We get high pressure blocking around Greenland and Iceland, and low pressure plunging into the UK by the 8th, 9th of December. That turns the wind into a bitterly cold northeasterly and would deliver snow to many parts of the country. Very cold and wintry there from the first week into the second week of December. Those east to northeast winds are maintained then to the 11th, 12th of December, with this area of low pressure over the continent no doubt providing plenty of snow for lowland, southern and southeastern England. So I think this CFS 18Z aka pub run has definitely been on the on the Christmas sherry. Now, middle of December, trying to turn milder as low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic, but this low pressure is on a northwest southeast line. It's quite a cold area of low pressure originating from around Greenland, and that's on a northwest southeast line. moment. So that's bringing rain and snow in from off the Atlantic. But look where the low's going. It's slipping southwards into France and pulling back into the east again for the middle of December. So more cold east or northeast winds there around the 15th, 16th of December, and then low pressure deepening to our southwest. That's running into the cold air, and this looks like a real snow event here for the south and for the southwest of the country around the 18th, 19th of December. What a CFS run this is. We've got wind in from the east and southeast with low pressure around Biscay. There'll be a weather front coming into that cold air, producing heavy snow, and that'll be drifting around as well, that snow, with both strong to gale force southerly winds, southeast winds. Now look at this, 19th to 20th of December, that low pressure centres around the Bay of Biscay. Winds continue from the east, so the cold air is maintained, and there would be further snow as well being drawn in on those cold east winds. By this point, we would be very snow covered, of course, from all of the various snow events that have gone on since around the 7th to the 8th of December. It's also a very cold December, I have to say, on this CFS run. Now, that low eventually starts drifting northwards, would bring something a little bit less cold into the south, still cold though up in the north. What's going to happen as we get to Christmas? Well, that's Christmas Eve with low pressure over England and Wales. Probably a little bit less cold in the south, maybe a little bit of dripping going on south of the M4, but most parts of the country still maintaining the cold air, and there will be plenty of snow on the ground as well. So cold Christmas Eve, that's Christmas Day. Looking cold as well. Winds remain from an easterly direction there for Christmas Day, and that will probably bring snow showers onto eastern coast areas. Otherwise, on dry weather with that, I would have thought. But it would be very cold overnight for us, and most parts of the country, away perhaps from the far south, would be snow covered with that as well. Now, look at this. Boxing Day, high pressure is building over Scandinavia, so the cold weather is not done yet. Low pressure tries to get in from off the Atlantic, but is blocked by that high pressure building to our north and northeast. So between Christmas and New Year, we keep it pretty cold, really. And as the low pressures try to come in from off the Atlantic, they'll probably deliver snow to northern and western areas, while eastern regions would remain mostly dry and cold and snow cover. We get into the New Year, that's New Year's Day, with low pressure again trying to come in from off the Atlantic. That's probably a snow event as that low pressure comes into the cold air. But this time the low pressure breaking free. So through the first week of January, we turn a lot milder. Winds get into the southwest, so much milder through the first week of January. Wetter and windier as well with low pressure in. And that, of course, will produce a rapid fall of the snow cover, which in itself will present its own problems, but much milder into early January. And that carries on then into the middle part of the month. Although it does look as though we might be threatened to pull some cold air back in after mid-month to the north, but we shall not go any further than that. What a CFS run that is, though, for December. Very, very cold December there, and cold Christmas. Right, we're done, everybody. So what do we make of that? What do we think about that, everyone? Clearly, you know, we've got a few hints of some easterlies there from, like, the first and the final CFS runs, like the midnight and 18th there. They both produce easterlies within the period, although not necessarily for Christmas Day, but like the midnight run is very easterly just after New Year, whereas the 18th is easterly throughout most of December, and then gets milder into early January. So they're differing where they're placing those easterlies, but hints of easterly winds there. The other two, a little bit more in between, especially that 12th run, which is the mildest most Atlantic driven of the four. But such an interesting starting point. I reckon this chap, wherever he is, would have enjoyed the sneaky peek. I hope he did. I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, then please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place, with another Christmas 2022 sneaky peeky. Thank you so much, Richard, for the gift. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching. And yeah, update number 2, or sneaky peeky number 2, in Christmas 2022. next Wednesday, same time, same place. For this one though, that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Bye for now. Merry Christmas!